I have with me Dr. Srikantan, famous cardiologist in Pune, and we are here to get his feedback on his experience in engaging with Skyline Roof and Ceiling. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
We understand that you had an opportunity to engage with Skyline Roof for some of the work that you carried out in these Flora Hall premises. I will ask a few questions with regard to your experience in terms of the quality work done by Skyline Roof and your experience of the time schedule and the entire approach and attitude of this contracting organization towards the work that you had commissioned. So let me start with how did you get in touch with this company?
So Sora Hall is a 20-year-old building which has been neglected over the years because we didn't have a management. We had not formed a society. A few years ago there was a fire in the building and we then realized that we had to take things in our own hands and form a society. So we got a deemed society formed and took over the management of this building. For the last year we've been looking for someone who can come in and help us renovate the old structure. A lot of parts were breaking down. There was choking of all the drainages. The electrical systems were falling apart. And while we were searching for people to come, we came across a lot of engineering teams, contractor teams, came and gave us their opinion, but we could not find anyone who could take up works at this scale and trying to renovate a very old structure which is functioning with so many active businesses going on in the center. So we came across Skyline through a common friend who had utilized their services elsewhere and they were very happy with their work. So we engaged them roughly about 6 months back. We started off with renovating the ground floor area, which was the most pressing region where the drainage systems were choked. And our experience with Skyline has been very, very good. They are very transparent, they are professional, they have a good team, and they take up areas which most people would be scared to touch. They also have good links with the corporation and other areas where permissions have to be acquired, because our drainage needed to be linked to the main corporation drainage after cleaning and renovating the system. So we didn't have to engage or hire multiple agencies to sort out the problem. At one point we could sort out most of our problems. Our own experience has been good so far.
The biggest dilemma for a client is to estimate correctly the commitment levels of a contractor. Now, since you have not dealt with Skyline earlier, in terms of after commissioning them, how did you find their commitment levels, both to quality and more than quality, scheduling, which is always a nightmare for most customers?
We struggled initially to try and get things in place. We had experienced members within the committee who had a good idea of the market and they were able to sit and negotiate with Skyline. And our experience with Skyline was that their rates, although a little higher than the average industry rates, were quite good for the quality of work that we were getting. And we found that the timelines were maintained. They came up with a proper schedule of services and maintained their schedule. And if they couldn't take up something, they would tell us in advance that there's going to be a gap, or they would tell us when they're going to do a particular job. If they needed to subcontract work, they would tell us about it. They would not do it quietly. They would tell us that somebody else is going to take up this job. So we knew where we were heading and we knew what the costs are going to be in the long term.
So the transparency on the part of the contractor, which is a major attribute, you had absolute clarity and satisfaction, in the sense that it's important, because you mentioned that although their prices are not the lowest, people tend to quote higher prices and then cut corners to maintain their margins, which is not the case you experience with Skyline. Is that right?
We could talk to the contractor. He was always available, and if we felt that there were areas where the costs were going up, we could negotiate with him and bring the costs down, either by changing the quality of the product or limiting the areas of work so that we could stay within the budget.
Any changes or adjustments that were made taking you into confidence so that there was
Yes, we
transparency?
had regular meetings, we had discussions, and if we felt, or if any of the committee members felt that they did not want a particular thing, we knew that the contractor and the team would discuss with us and let us know what are the options, what are the various price packages available, and what we would get from a different price range, and then we could make a choice of what product we want at what price. So we had someone whom we could talk to.
So needless to say that should there be an opportunity for subcontracting more of this kind of work in future, you would obviously go to Skyline out of this positive experience that you had.
We would definitely have Skyline as one of our partners in the long term, because the renovation of such a structure is an ongoing process.
Correct.
It's going to take many, many years to get it maintained and keep it in a reasonably good shape. And whenever an opportunity arises and we need work done, Skyline would definitely be one of the people we would contact in the future.
And lastly, most contractors put in their best foot forward with the intent of proving their credibility and looking for more business. So would you recommend Skyline to friends, colleagues?
Oh, I would strongly recommend them in terms of major jobs being done, because you get transparency.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time.